you guys might be thinking Starcade is going to be a 2-city deal. So as a reminder, the granddaddy of them all, it predates WrestleMania. Starrcade 83 was the first super show with closed circuit of its kind. That was in November of 83. Of course, she came back and did one again in 84. But by 85, Meltzer's reporting that he's heard it's going to be a quote unquote 2-city deal that he would continue. They will have live matches in either Charlotte or Greensboro and in Atlanta on Thanksgiving. And the card will apparently originate from both locations. I'm sure it'll be a good show the way things have been going for Crockett, but 2 cities originating doubles the chances that something may go wrong. Crowds are really picking up around the territory, or so I'm told. In Philadelphia, this group, which started out drawing flies, is drawing 7,000 to 8,000 in the past few shows. The Carolina shows have picked up mainly because of Morton and Gibson, so I'm told. Greenville is drawing about 4,000 per week, and shows in Greensboro are getting back near 7,000 per show once again. So he's laying all this out just to explain, you guys are a hot property, not in one territory, but all over the country. So maybe it makes sense to have shows, 2 big shows on the same day. But I'm curious, we know that Starrcade was sort of Dusty's vision back in 83. Was it his idea as well to say, let's do more than one town?
Jimmy felt that we could do, he wanted something different.
Mm-hmm.
That you do Starrcade. All right. So why don't we try 2 cities? Well, okay, you can do 2 cities, but the technical end of it, you have to have, I can go into, we have to have uplinks at either end and generators and a TV truck at both ends and calling cues. There is a delay. At that time, I call it a pregnant pause, and then which end is going to control. So that was a challenge. So we ended up, Atlanta was control. I was in Atlanta. Jimmy and Dusty were in Greensboro, and I know there was a question about would the fans feel like they were cheated. The fans in Greensboro, and the fans in Atlanta. Well, we had video screens in both. And so, I guess you might say it was sort of a live show and a pay-per-view at the same time for them, and that they're watching a screen for those matches that they don't see there. So they really didn't miss anything. Does that help?
It does help. I'm curious. We know that Omni has the Omni as a building, as a venue.
Right.
Arn Anderson has said before that was like his Madison Square Garden as a kid who grew up in Georgia. It makes sense that would be the building chosen. But the speculation for Meltzer was that it might be Greensboro, it might be Charlotte. We know the spiritual home was Greensboro, and that's certainly where you had done them in years past. Was there serious consideration given to moving it to Charlotte?
Not really. No, Greensboro was the home. The fan base was there. To have it both places, no. The main reason Atlanta, we were on TBS. So to show, let's say, the Turner Broadcasting System people advertising this on TBS and showing that it can be done. That's what happened. That's, to me, that was the only reason. That to try and do Charlotte and Greensboro, we're just doing a small market. If you do Atlanta and Greensboro, 2 hotbeds, like you said, Arn said, Atlanta was Madison Square Garden for him. Well, Flair, Greensboro, it was his Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
So you bring them together.
Let's talk about some other news and notes from the Observer. Dave would write, apparently this group is at odds with both the Memphis and Mid-South offices over something, probably the new demands of usage of Flair. If you want Flair, you have to take either Crockett talent and do other Crockett talent rather, and do 50-50 shows. So let's just take a timeout right there. Historically, and we've talked about this in earlier episodes, the NWA champion is a touring champion, and you guys are really forfeiting your top draw. And, you know, you could have the world champion on every single one of your cards. That's not the way
True.
you guys have been doing it, though. You've sort of forfeited your top star and now allowed every other promoter in the country, or for that matter, the world, to make money off of him. Meanwhile, he's from your home territory and he's there perhaps the least. And certainly he always has a place to come back to, but by and large, this has certainly become a lopsided deal, especially when a lot of the other territories are really just struggling to survive. And you guys, meanwhile, have this thriving television opportunity. It makes sense. Let's put Flair on TV every week. Let's use him through our territory. And if we're going to let him go work somewhere else, well, it's only fair, since we've made him a television star and we're keeping him on our payroll, that we participate in that. But there's certain, you know, comments that are here that say that, hey, maybe Bill Watts and Jerry Jarrett, they don't really like that. What was the pushback? Who drew the line in the sand? Is that a Jimmy call? Is that a you call? Is that your accountant's call? Who made the call that we got to start getting something for what we're given here?
That was a Jimmy call, and it never showed up on our income sheet. So I don't know about, you know, who got that money, if it actually happened. Now, as far as using some of our talent, yes, because we want our talent to be known as well as Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense for us to, and we're looking at also ratings. You know, this business of just thinking about the cities, it doesn't happen anymore. You've got TBS, and we want people to recognize that our talent on TBS, keeping our ratings up, and the demand for not just Ric Flair, but also the Iron Andersons, the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express. And sure, we did some training with Bill Watts, but as you know, Bill Watts was going down. The Fullers, you know, everybody was on their heels. And yes, they could do some things, but it just, for us, it was costing us money to send Rick out, because in a lot of cases, we didn't get our travel costs back. You know, think about that. Rick flies first class.
Mm-hmm.
He flies first class. So you expect to get that in return, and a lot of times we didn't.